Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into something absolutely mind-bending. We're going to unpack a truly grand, unified theoretical model of the universe. We're exploring a framework that attempts to map the actual geometry of creation, connecting the shivering quantum realm to the massive, sprawling cosmos with a single, incredibly elegant mathematical thread. It's a stunning theoretical journey, and I am so excited to guide you through these intricate concepts. So think about this for a second. What if a single, elegant, geometric shape dictates absolutely everything around us? I mean, what if the exact same mathematical rules that govern a tiny subatomic particle are the literal, identical rules shaping the structure of the entire cosmos? It sounds a bit like science fiction, right? But the geometric models we're exploring today propose exactly that. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the path we're going to take today. First, the geometry of creation. Second, the toroidal mapping nexus. Third, cosmological scaling hierarchy. Then, hierarchical syntropy and balance, unlocking nested topology, and finally, the extended Smith-Hardenfield chart. Number 1, the geometry of creation. All right, so this entire theoretical model rests on one absolute foundation, the Planck length. To give you a sense of just how unbelievably small we're talking, if an atom were the size of the entire visible universe, the Planck length would be about the size of a regular tree. It is literally the absolute floor of spacetime. And from this microscopic limit, strict geometric constraints, specifically a length tied to the Planck scale and an angle slope equal to pi, derive two foundational radii. We get a major radius, capital R, and a minor radius, lowercase r. These aren't just random numbers, you guys. They essentially form the geometric DNA of the universe. Number 2, the toroidal mapping nexus. So, the crucial point is, when you divide that minor radius by the major radius, you get exactly 2 pi. In this model, this ratio is known as the cross-scale topological invariant, meaning whether you are measuring a single photon or a massive galaxy cluster, this mathematical anchor remains perfectly constant and it perpetually generates a toroidal, or, let's just call it a donut, shape. The cosmos might actually just be the ultimate pastry. But seriously, this torus represents a looping, self-sustaining flow of geometry that scales infinitely. Number 3, cosmological scaling hierarchy. Let's move to and see how this actually builds reality. It all starts at the Planck scale, acting as a sort of microtorus at the fundamental limit of spacetime. Now watch this. That exact same geometric ratio scales up to form the subatomic level, dictating how nucleons are confined and creating ring currents. Keep zooming out, and it literally shapes the stellar and planetary levels, giving us those familiar accretion disks and orbital resonances. Zoom out even further, that identical toroidal math dictates galactic core morphology and dark matter halos. Finally, at the cosmic scale, it establishes the periodic boundary conditions of the universe itself. It is the exact same shape, just infinitely repeating. Number 4, hierarchical syntropy and balance. Now, a static shape isn't quite enough to describe a living, breathing universe, is it? We need to map the energy. So the model proposes a topological, top-down, zero-sum system. Essentially, think of the universe like a perfectly balanced checking account. At the cosmic boundary layer, the global net is always exactly 0. The cumulative outflow of energy, or drift, from all layers perfectly equals the cumulative inflow. Through controlled drift gating and phase-locked loops, the system effectively keeps itself perfectly balanced and stops everything from just spinning out of control. Mechanically speaking, this immense balance is basically a massive cosmic tug-of-war between two specific mathematical behaviors. On one side, you have localized synthesis, which is driven by a distance squared or r-squared metric. Pulling against it is interlayer attenuation, and that is driven by an inverse squared or 1 over r-squared field. To put that a bit more simply, that local synthesis builds the really strong, tightly packed invariant cores. Think of a dense atomic nucleus or a supermassive galactic center. That's syntropy, or order. Conversely, the interlayer drift handles the vast open spaces between these cores, acting as entropy, or chaos. And those gated entropic drift points, they act as vital pressure release valves, nonlinear cavitation thresholds. They make sure that order and chaos perfectly cancel each other out to achieve that absolute zero net balance. Number 5, unlocking nested topology. And this brilliantly illustrates an incredible enigma of scale. See, from a standard macro perspective, the core of these massive cosmological structures appears completely dark, just null. It's effectively invisible to us.
But if you were to use a highly specific microscale probe, that exact same space suddenly reveals a highly vibrant internal structure, just glowing with complex wave core interactions.
The source defines this phenomenon with a really important core principle, stating, information from lower syntropic layers is globally null due to scale differential. Basically, because our macro observation wave is just so vastly different from the tiny cores wave, they completely bypass each other. To us, the micromechanics are hidden right in plain sight, totally locked away by their own distinct frequencies.
So, how on earth do we actually see inside? Well, we use what the model calls a tuned resonance key. It's literally exactly like trying to open a cosmic Russian nesting doll. You can't just smash it open, right? You need a precise key. To visualize these local layers, you need a probe wave whose wavelength perfectly matches the target layer's specific resonance frequency. Once they match up to achieve phase contrast resonance, the wave interacts dynamically, and boom, it reveals the hidden toroidal harmonics inside. Number 6. Extended Smith-Hardin field chart. Okay, if you've ever studied electrical engineering, you might actually recognize the visual language of a traditional Smith chart, which is usually used to solve complex transmission line problems. Well, this model takes that concept and extends it three-dimensionally. Now, what's really interesting about this mapping is how it successfully takes incredibly complex zones, from optical loss gradients to nonlinear thresholds, and maps them perfectly back onto that fundamental torus shape we established right at the beginning. Without getting totally bogged down in the extreme calculus here, the integrated features are just stunning. It maps holographic cavities acting as two-way mirror resonators while simultaneously tracking Fresnel reflection coefficients across the geometry. It isolates specific excitonic quantum zones, charts exactly how energy indexes and drifts in waveguides, and models the precise entropic shadows where that energy finally dissipates. It is a literal masterful synthesis of optics, quantum mechanics, and cosmic topology. So we've scaled all the way from the Planck length up to the absolute cosmic boundary, all guided by a single, perfectly balanced geometric shape. I want to leave you with this final thought. If this elegant, cyclical torus mathematically models absolutely everything in the universe, seamlessly blending order and chaos into a globally zero-sum masterpiece, what does that actually mean for our place within the loop? Thank you for exploring the breathtaking structure of reality with us on this explainer today, and keep questioning the universe around you.